In the foothills of the Rockies, two cities rise above the rest. An economic boom so powerful, Denver and Boulder are transformed.
This whole area was abandoned, and now it's ground zero for all the economic growth.
Denver now full of skyscrapers and new development.
Denver is going through the next great urban renewal.
In a decade, the population explodes by more than 18%. Now, nearly 3 million people call the Mile High City home.
We want this to be the economic engine of America.
Boulder's GDP has grown by 23% over 5 years, an increase of more than $6 billion.
The force in the poll was so big that we needed to come out here.
Today, more than 19,500 businesses call Metro Boulder home.
I was very, very lucky to be in Boulder when I launched this brand.
In the shadow of both towns, a robust military presence, combined with top universities, local sports, and the rush of the outdoors.
If you want all those things, this is the place to do that.
All drawing in a talented workforce, and titans of industry followed.
I think you'd be shocked as to how much funding is going into this ecosystem.
Big investment launches two cities toward a high-tech future.
It's exciting that tech startups choose the Denver Boulder area.
From the aerospace industry that skyrocketed 88% over the past 2 decades,
Aerospace has become a fulcrum of our whole economy now.
to the big bet on quantum technology that looks to unlock billions in Boulder.
It's going to make the gold rush look like the tin rush by comparison.
CNBC travels to Colorado's economic epicenter, where our team of reporters hit the trails, scale the skyscrapers, and take you inside the military for a closer look at the industries behind the region's explosive growth.
Low taxes, great positive regulatory environment, great quality of life.
And we'll shine a light on the issues that threaten to disrupt that quality of life, from a growing homeless population
We have a major issue with the unhoused.
to an unprecedented crisis that brought more than 40,000 migrants to town.
Could you have imagined that number?
Well, that's much higher than what we thought.
And housing prices that are much higher too.
The key thing that keeps me up awake at night is the housing costs.
Two cities on an unparalleled trajectory, facing challenges they've never seen before, while entrepreneurs, leaders, and dreamers all look to the future to rise even higher. Cities of Success, Denver and Boulder, starts now. Welcome to Cities of Success. I'm Carl Quintanilla. Denver and Boulder have seen a decades-long transformation, ascending to prominence as major hubs for business and a magnet for innovation. While agriculture and healthcare laid the foundation in the region, the rise of new industries are propelling the two cities into the future. One of the fastest growing sectors, aerospace. CNBC's Morgan Brennan takes a closer look.
In the shadow of the Rocky Mountains, with an elevation 1 mile closer to outer space, is an area that's home to a growing cluster of aerospace business. Driving around Denver and Boulder, you'd never know there's hundreds of companies here, the front line of our nation's national defense, building highly innovative products that look like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie. Manufactured here and then rocketed into Earth's orbit. Also blasting off, the industry's growth. Aerospace grew 88% over the past 2 decades, more than any other emerging industry in Metro Denver and Boulder during that time period. And now, 191 aerospace businesses are supporting 29,000 jobs in the region.
I think aerospace has become a fulcrum of our whole economy now.
Among them, the biggest, oldest prime contractors, publicly traded names like Lockheed Martin. The industry heavyweight is building up to 32 new satellites to modernize GPS for the U.S. Space Force. Boeing, Northrop Grumman, United Launch Alliance, BAE Systems, and RTX all have a presence here, alongside private stalwarts like Dylan Taylor's Voyager Space and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin.
It's a community that works together. In terms of aerospace, it's not dog eat dog. It's all dogs working together. It's hunting like wolves.
The cluster of powerhouses in the industry, coupled with access to a pipeline of talent from local universities, like University of Colorado Boulder, have seeded a thriving startup community. One of them, Orbit Fab. Backed by neighboring Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, it moved into this 60,000 square foot manufacturing facility.
We started the company in Silicon Valley. We moved to Colorado mainly because of the workforce. There's a bigger aerospace workforce here.
Since making the move, the company's grown from 6 to 60 employees, all working towards one goal: figuring out how to build gas stations in outer space. Here's why. Satellites need fuel to move around once they're in orbit, just like a car needs gas. But right now, it's impossible for a satellite to fill up in space. So when the tank hits E, it's game over.
They're single-use satellites. When they run out of fuel, they throw them away.
OrbitFab's solution to trashing satellites that can cost up to billions of dollars to build and launch is pretty simple. Equip new satellites with these stainless steel ports that allow fuel to be poured in. It's like the gas cap on a car, only a lot more expensive. The company sells one of these for 30 grand. OrbitFab is also building mobile gas stations that will pull up, connect to the port, and fill up your satellite.
If you ran out of fuel on a highway, AAA can come and deliver you fuel. That's actually the typical way that we'll do it in space. We'll bring fuel to the customer.
And those pricey ports are nothing compared to the price of gas. Faber says OrbitFab will charge $750,000 a gallon.
To contextualize how much it costs, you have to realize how much value is being created.
In other words, a gallon of gas can extend the life of a very expensive satellite. And that is what makes fuel in space nearly 3 times more valuable than gold, which explains why the company recently scored a $13.3 million deal from another neighbor.
Space Force is one of our biggest clients. They have a lot of satellites, of course, and they tend to be expensive, very capable satellites, so they're not so happy that they run out of fuel.
We were invited inside Buckley Space Force Base. These giant white structures that look like golf balls house massive satellite dishes that are critical to national security.
The fact that there are key industry partners in close proximity, how much does that matter, the location?
I think the location matters greatly. The partnership that we have with all of the local defense contractors and the startups allow us the opportunity to drive down the cost of space operations as well as innovate very quickly so that it's crucial to national defense.
The fact that you have a large government footprint here, the Air Force Academy down the highway, so to speak, or whether it is an Air Force and Space Force base, how crucial is that to this ecosystem continuing to sustain itself?
I think it's critical.
Dylan Taylor is the chairman and CEO of Voyager Space, a multinational space conglomerate he founded in Denver back in 2019. Taylor's also invested in the industry personally, as an early-stage investor in 50 space companies, including OrbitFab. He's an astronaut, too, exploring our planet from high above in space on this Blue Origin flight, and by sea, as one of just a few people who have traveled into the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench.
When we were creating Voyager and thinking through the best growth markets where we could have access to talent, Denver really rose to the top.
A move that's worked in his favor. Voyager has now made 7 acquisitions, the first 2 local startups.
We're circa 700 employees now and quite a bit of revenue, looking to enter the public markets at some point.
The company's latest project, Star Lab, is currently being built to replace the aging International Space Station.
What we are definitely focused on is getting it in orbit before the ISS comes down.
The state of Colorado now has more private aerospace employees per capita than any other state. The industry's success made possible in part through a decades-long targeted effort by state officials, like Senator John Hickenlooper.
When I became governor of Colorado in 2011, first thing was to create a business plan for the whole state, and aerospace was right at the top of the list.
As the Denver economy rises, so does the town's demand for real estate, creating some unprecedented challenges, including a major housing shortage. CNBC's Diana Olick has more.
Inside this Denver warehouse are some of the city's hottest commodities. Future home builders. The Build Strong Academy of Colorado is a tuition-free training program founded in 2017 by a local home builder who saw a desperate need for skilled labor.
Just how bad is the labor crisis here when it comes to building homes? Yeah, it's really bad.
Allison Stepnitz is the program's director and says it has grown from just 95 students in its first year to now roughly 600 a year, which is still not enough.
The construction industry is expected to grow so much that we'll need 45,000 new construction jobs by 2027.
The problem is stark but simple. The Metro Denver population has increased 18% in the last decade, compared with the national population growth of 7%. As a result, Denver is short 70,000 housing units for its current population.